Like I said last time, your Nikon ZF is missing an authentic looking lens until now. This is Artralab Nonikkor or Nonikkor. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Nonikkor, Nonikkor. I mean the name is kind of a little bit naughty, yeah. Nonikkor. But just look at it, it's just really beautiful. Nikon released the ZF-Z really beautiful camera, and they don't have a lens to pair with them. I don't know what were they thinking. Fortunately, you have this. Yeah, okay. Voigtlander actually got two that looks like, it actually looks like this. That looks like a Nikon AI lens, not artificial intelligence, by the way. But those are APS-C. But this one is full frame, so for your ZF. So here I have two, the 24mm one ƒ1.7. This is APS-C DX format, equivalence 35mm. But this one is full frame, 35mm, equivalence 35mm, ƒ1.4. It's just beautiful. Just like the first time, the last time I saw this, the first time at CP Plus Tokyo, not Tokyo, Yokohama, Japan, when I met Mijonju there, and he introduced this to me. Last time I simply just played with them in my hands. I was simply excited about an authentic looking lens for ZF and ZF-C. But how do they perform? Well, it actually not bad. I was shooting at f4 in all these photos. For street photography, they are just sharp enough. I don't feel like using a really cheap or old lens. So this is really beautifully made. I think, it feels like the whole thing is metal, maybe apart from the aperture ring. Feels like the weight that it should have. Aperture brake is really round. I think that is, I forgot to check how many blades it looks like. I counted, it looks like 10 or 11. The APS-C 24mm, also really round aperture iris, and also looks like there's 10 blades. But I think there are a little bit of production quality problem with the printing of these marking, because obviously they try to make it look like a Nikon lens, so you got this colorful marking for checking out your depth of field. But if you check out the center, the black marking in the center, there's a bit of, it wasn't painted really well. As they say, these are all hand painted, so this embossed and then they paint it the embossed bit. But by the way, the aperture ring, the white text, the white digits are printed on. Only the color digits are embossed and hand painted. The APS-C one, also the center, the black dot, it's not very painted really well. F8 should be yellow, but the first mark, this one is not yellow, it's orange or red or something. That's not ideal, but how is the customer service? Maybe we can see that from my last video in CP Plus when I first introduced you these two lenses. Yep, someone bought one and received excellent service because the first one was faulty, but replacement was posted to me before they received the faulty one back. That's really good. But even better is that if you can try it out for 30 days, just like the sponsor, .vpn today. And especially, there's something new. They are doing eSIM now, travel eSIM. It is called Stroll. I think it's called Stroll. If you sign up for 2 years plan, you got 10 GB for free. I use travel eSIM ever since I got my iPhone 12 mini, with the first iPhone I have that support eSIM. So that when you travel, you don't have to be like Kai, trying to change that little SIM card on flight on that little tray table. It's alright, I got travel eSIM. And of course, NordVPN protects you when you travel or if you are at home anyway. NordVPN prevents your ISP or the Wi-Fi you are using while you travel from logging your browsing history and prevent the website that you are going from getting your real IP. NordVPN had independent audit to confirm that they don't log any of their users' online activity. So with the link in the description below, you can get that 10GB eSIM if you sign up for 2 years plan and with 4 extra months service for free. And if it turns out it doesn't really useful for you, you can cancel it within 30 days and get all your money back. So there's no electronic contact. You can set up the focal length in the camera menu for the image stabilization to work. So in EXIF data, it will show as 35mm, but it will always show as using the maximum aperture, no matter what aperture you were actually using. The focusing box won't change to green when you're in focus like a proper CPU lens, but focus peaking still works. So yeah, this is a fully manual lens. Everything manual focus, manual aperture. Even the aperture isn't closed by your camera. When you set an aperture value, it's already closed. There's a lot of this kind of manual lens these days are like that. Actually, back then when you have full manual camera, aperture don't close until you take the shot, because if it closes when you're composing, it would get the viewfinder really dark. Manual focus doing street photography, is that a problem? Not really. I'm used to that. Back in my days, back in my days there was auto focusing, but my first SLR was Olympus OM1 fully manual, so used to it. There are many tricks. There are many tricks you can use. Obviously, the first thing you can do is set one button to punch in. So you punch in to set your focus and then zoom back out. Another thing, of course, you can do is maybe you can guess, well, focus peaking. Focus peaking, you got anything in focus that is some highlight, whatever color you set it to. This is a lot faster, but less accurate. And of course, there is zone focusing. Zone focusing, really good for street photography when you don't really have time to actually focus because you see something and you want to just quickly take the shot. If you're young and you don't know how to do zone focusing, it's really actually quite simple. Basically, you pre-focus your lens, and then when you take a shot, you don't focus at all. A lot of people may already know how to do it, but for younger viewers, you basically, for example, I will look at what I may go to take photo of, what kind of distance, and then I can set my setting is between 3 to around 10 meters. How to do that? Because you see, I'm using f4. f4 is the digits is green to marking green. Now it is on 3 to 10 meters. That means everything within 3 to 10 meters is going to be sharp. Now, if you look at this method online, a lot of people will teach you to, set it to, for example, use the green and then now it's 5 to around 5 to infinity. Usually people teach you to set it to infinity. So the theory is that, for example, you set it to 3 to infinity, anything further than 3 meters would be in focus. But I like to set it to, for example, 3 to 5 meters in focus. So further than that will be blurry as well. So I got a little bit of subject separation. Now let's look at some test shots in detail. The full frame 35mm shooting at wide open f1.4, yeah, there is some vignetting which is expected. At the center it's sharp enough, but the edges are pretty soft. At f4 there's still vignetting, center sharpness improved quite a lot. Edges still pretty soft. Vignetting disappear around f8. Only at f11, now the edges kind of sharpish. The crop 24mm though start off pretty sharp around the frame. Still there's vignetting, which disappear around f8. The full frame 1.4 do get some slight color fringing, which largely disappear at around f4. The APS-C 24mm, I don't really see any color fringing. Both have pretty well control on flaring. I really only see it if I actually point the lens to the sun. Bokeh, I think they are kind of alright. What do you think? And at last, there's some kind of obvious barrel distortion. Alright, I just realized one thing, another problem, another quality issue with this lens. Not really image quality, but it's just the printing again. Because I punch in and then I try to focus it, and then I check the lens itself. It's not pointing to the infinity. It's quite a lot. It's quite far off. So I have been setting my distance according to this wrong distance scale. Come on, Artralab, you can do better. You can do much better than this. Maybe it's just this. I'm unlucky to get this bad copy, but yeah. Alright, the APS-C 24mm, it has the same problem. 2 out of 2 now. So yeah, same thing. I punch in, focus to infinity, and then that much. A little bit closer than the full frame one, but still. Just to be sure, I tried it at home again with a tape measure. I set the focal plane to 3 meters, punch in and focus. And yeah, it's still off slightly on the full frame lens. And on the APS-C one, it's almost at 5 meters. At the end though, anyone who would consider this, let's be honest, came for the look. Why would you get the ZF or ZF-C in the first place anyway? The Nonikkor lenses fit perfectly for the ZF and ZF-C. Image quality isn't the best, but it don't bother me a bit with street photography. They are under $400 or £400, quite a bit cheaper than Voigtlander, which they haven't yet made a Nikon looking full frame lens, but they have larger aperture and with electronic contact. More interestingly is that Nikon's own lens with autofocusing are even cheaper. But still, they are on a really unique position, which looks like an old Nikon lens, and they look just so beautiful on the ZF and the ZF-C.